Breakthrough Prize in Life Sciences. A handful of tech billionaires put up huge cash prizes to reward discoveries that change medicine. Winners get $3 million and instant attention. The award began in 2013. Its backers include people whose names you already know from tech headlines. They wanted to make science as visible as sports and movies. What happened next surprised a lot of researchers. Scientists who win suddenly have breathing room. They can hire teams, they can buy rare instruments, they can try ideas that traditional grants would never touch. That freedom helped fund discoveries that already reshaped medicine. Immune therapies that teach the body to attack cancer went from lab oddity to real cures. A way to rewind cells into stem cell form opened paths for tissue repair. Gene editing. That once seemed science fiction is now routine in many labs. All those breakthroughs passed through labs that felt the prize money and the spotlight. There is another side. When huge private prizes set the agenda, some researchers worry that attention follows where the money points rather than where the need is greatest. Basic research that builds invisible foundations may get less notice. Smaller labs and universities may struggle to compete. Prize-driven fame can speed translation, but also create bubbles. Scientists call that tension familiar. They also call the prize useful. It attracts young talent. It makes high-risk experiments possible. The result is a strange mix of gratitude and caution. Scientists celebrate the resources. At the same time, they ask, who decides which problems are worthy of a spotlight? That question is not academic. It shapes the pace and direction of medicine for everyone. Winners include researchers whose work changed how we treat disease. Scientists who mapped how cells sense oxygen turned a basic mystery into real medicine. Researchers who decoded gene scissors made targeted edits possible. People who unlocked immune checkpoints turned the immune system into a therapy that can beat cancers once thought untouchable. The prize shined a spotlight on those labs and turned careful science into headlines. That visibility matters. When an idea gets the spotlight, top students flock to the field. Funders and universities pay attention. That helps move ideas from benches into clinics faster. It also spreads the language of those discoveries into everyday conversation. Suddenly, terms that once lived only in journals appear in news feeds and dinner table talk. That changes what funders and politicians think of as urgent. Still, the prize is not a pure engine of progress. Critics say prizes can favor flashy, short-term results over slow foundational work. They worry that a few powerful pockets of money will shape an entire discipline. There is also a deeper worry. When private taste picks winners, the public has less say in what gets prioritized. The question is practical. Do we want discovery steered by public need or by high-profile prizes and celebrity endorsement? Scientists I spoke with are split. Some call the prize a game changer that saved lines of inquiry from dying. Others call it a new gatekeeper that rewards certain types of success. Both sides agree on one thing. The money changed the rules of the game. That change matters for patients, and for anyone who expects scientific progress to be fair and useful. Do you trust a few wealthy people to decide which experiments move fastest? Breakthrough. Listen, a billionaire poured $100 million into a modern hunt for other civilizations. The goal is simple in words and enormous in scale. Listen to the sky with better ears than we ever had. They point radio dishes at millions of stars. They record billions of radio channels all at once. They scan optical light, too. The project uses major telescopes like the Green Bank Telescope and Parkes. Recently, it added an all-sky monitor at Westerbork, capable of watching huge swaths of sky continuously. That change matters. It means we no longer only check places we think matter. We listen everywhere at once. The team does not search with human eyes alone. They use artificial intelligence to sort mountains of noise. New AI systems now find short radio flashes that humans would miss In 2025, a collaboration dramatically sped up detection of fast radio bursts. The new tools turned months of raw data into real-time alerts. That lets astronomers chase fleeting events the moment they appear. The project also learned from mistakes. A promising signal called BLC1 looked like a breakthrough. Deeper analysis returned to Earth-based interference. That failure was useful. It forced better filters and stricter proof. The hunt became smarter. There is a strange trade-off. More data and smarter algorithms mean we can find rarer signs. But the more we find, the more careful we must be before claiming contact. When does a pattern become proof? That question is not just technical, it is cultural. It asks, who decides that we have an answer to the oldest question of all? The project pours data and compute into telescopes, so researchers can hunt for techno-signatures across the sky. It records massive streams from Green Bank and Parkes, and now watches broad swaths with an all-sky monitor at Westerbork. That change means brief, rare events stand a better chance of being caught. Teams use fast learning systems to sort signals from noise. In 2025, an AI collaboration with NVIDIA sped up detection of fast radio bursts by 600 times compared with older methods. Faster detection converts months of raw data into alerts that astronomers can act on in real time. That same boost let researchers mine Meerkat archives and pull out short bursts that had been invisible before. Those finds were not alien-proof, but they sharpened tools and taught new tactics. The project also faced humbling setbacks. The candidate called BLC1 seemed promising until deeper checks traced it to Earth-based interference. That failure forced the team to raise standards for what counts as proof. Scientists now require multiple independent confirmations before any public claim. Here is the real tension. Private funding buys speed and capability. It can accelerate discovery, but it also concentrates power over what gets monitored and who controls the narrative. A single verified signal would upend politics and culture overnight. Whoever controls the data and the story will shape how we understand our place in the universe. That raises a simple, urgent question. Who gets to decide when we are not alone? Chan Zuckerberg. Biohub. You step into a space where biologists and coders crowd the same whiteboard. In 2016, Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan seeded the effort with a $600 million endowment. Their idea was simple. Give teams time and compute to build predictive models of human cells using artificial intelligence. The work is not theoretical. Researchers train models on billions of cellular observations. They combine genetics imaging and lab experiments, and then ask the model what a sick cell will do next. The goal is to run experiments in virtual tissue before trying drugs on animals or people. That can cut years from the discovery timeline and save enormous money. The Biohub scaled up fast. In 2025, the lab deepened a partnership with NVIDIA to process petabytes of data on giant GPU clusters. They launched an AI residency to bring machine learning people into biology labs. Those moves created one of the largest nonprofit computing efforts focused on disease research. Faster models mean practical wins. Labs can predict which drug molecules are likely to fail. They can spot genetic patterns that flag disease earlier. That could turn rare conditions into treatable ones and make personalized medicine cheaper. There is another side. Who owns the models and the data matters. Private funding speeds progress, but it also concentrates power. If a virtual human cell points to a cure, who decides who gets first access and who pays? The technology promises faster cures and raises a key question about fairness and control. Researchers at the Biohub already point to practical wins. Models predicted which drug candidates would fail before costly trials began. That saved time and shifted resources toward better bets. Labs used virtual tissues to test how tiny changes in a gene would alter cell shape and behavior. Those insights cut months from experiments that once took years. Partnerships made that possible. The NVIDIA collaboration meant petabytes of data could be processed on massive GPU clusters. Residency programs brought machine learning engineers into wet labs, so code and pipettes work side by side. Funded pilots showed that early detection markers can be found by looking at patterns a human might miss. For patients, that can mean earlier treatment and fewer dead-end therapies. Yet speed exposes new problems. Models trained on limited data can bake in bias. If most data comes from wealthy populations, then predictions may fail for large parts of the world. Private ownership of models raises another issue. Who can license a breakthrough model, and at what price? If a predictive model points to an inexpensive fix, who profits, and who gets access first? There are also regulatory questions. Public oversight often moves slower than private labs. That gap can let powerful tools scale before rules catch up. Some scientists say open data and shared models would spread benefits. Others argue that controlled deployment protects patient privacy and ensures safety. Both views have merit. The core question is simple and urgent. If artificial intelligence helps find a cure, who decides who receives it first? Thiel Fellowship. You are 21, and a stranger offers to give you $200,000 over 2 years to quit college and build something. The offer sounds reckless and delicious. The program was designed to pull bright young people out of classrooms and into real-world projects. It finds founders and researchers under 22 and backs them with cash and mentoring. Some past recipients went on to reshape entire industries. One fellow helped build a platform that rewrote how people design software. Another created core pieces of a new financial infrastructure that powers decentralized apps. A different recipient launched technologies for autonomous vehicles that now help cars sense the world. The fellowship also produced early-stage scientific entrepreneurs. One recipient focused on extending healthy life. Another built lab instruments to make biology experiments cheaper and faster. Those projects show a pattern. Give a talented person money and time, and they often chase risky ideas that established institutions would call too uncertain. That speed creates wins and questions. A fast-moving team can produce software or sensors that change markets in a few years. A lab startup can advance a therapy faster than a slow academic route. Critics argue that steering talent this way favors whatever fits a venture model. Public research that advances basic knowledge may receive less attention and fewer hands. There is also a fairness question. Who gets recruited and who gets left in classrooms? The program rewards audacity and networks as much as raw talent. The central tension is practical. Do we want our most ambitious young minds building private startups or strengthening public labs that everyone shares? Which path will deliver the discoveries we need most? Many alumni went on to build tools and companies that changed how whole industries work. One created software used by millions to design digital products. Another built sensors that helped self-driving cars see farther. Those wins show the model can accelerate applied research and get results to market fast. The approach also creates pressure. When bright people leave universities, private startups gain a talent edge. That can speed applied innovation, but leave slow foundational science under-resourced. Some areas that pay well or fit venture models attract attention, while other important problems fade. Money and networks matter. The program often finds people already inside certain elite circles. That means opportunity follows social connections as much as raw merit. Critics say that narrows the pool and reinforces existing gaps. Supporters answer that skipping college is a risk worth taking for some, and that many successful projects do public good. There are legal and policy angles too. Startups move faster than regulation. Lab-based ventures may push novel tech into the world before rules are in place. That can be good when it saves lives rapidly. It can be bad when safety systems lag. Some argue for hybrid models where private speed pairs with public accountability. The core trade-off is simple. Do we prioritize rapid market-driven breakthroughs or steady public research that builds broad knowledge? Both paths create value, and both leave gaps. The choice shapes which discoveries arrive fastest and who benefits first. Which path would you pick if you could decide where the smartest young people go? Convergent research. It is a new way of doing science, where private money builds small mission teams to solve big, stubborn problems. The model launched in 2021, with backing from Eric Schmidt and other wealthy investors. The idea is simple. Instead of traditional grants, you stand up focused organizations that run like tight research factories. These teams call themselves Focused Research Organizations, or FROS. Each FRO has a narrow goal and the resources to chase it full-time. One group works to map neural circuits across whole mammal brains. Another builds open-source tools to grow and study microbes anyone can use. A proteomics team is scaling single-cell protein analysis, so labs worldwide can measure proteins at a new level. There is a group that tests ocean-based carbon removal technologies with public toolkits. There is even a team decoding immune memory to unlock chronic disease puzzles. The practical payoff is clear. When people concentrate talent and funding on one hard problem, things move fast. Tools are developed that universities might never prioritize. The outputs are often designed to be shared, which turns private money into public infrastructure. That can democratize cutting-edge techniques and lower barriers for other researchers. The tension is real. Private sponsors choose the problems. That steers which public goods get built and which do not. Fast teams can outpace regulation and public oversight. They can also create useful open resources that boost entire fields. The core question hangs in the air. When private speed builds public science, who decides which problems are worth sprint funding? They build tools that other labs can use. Open source kits for growing microbes let researchers copy experiments anywhere. New proteomics platforms make it possible to measure proteins at the level of single cells. Whole brain mapping tools give neuroscientists a shared map instead of each lab reinventing the wheel. Those are public goods in the truest sense. The benefits are practical and fast. When a group standardizes a method, the whole field moves forward. Journals publish faster follow-up studies. Startups and universities can build on the same foundation without duplicating costly hardware. For researchers in smaller institutions, that can be game-changing. It lowers the barrier to entry and spreads capability beyond elite labs. Still, the model creates new dependencies. When critical tools rely on a handful of funded teams, other labs become vulnerable if funding shifts. Maintaining open platforms costs money long after the original sprint ends. Who pays for upkeep can become a political as well as scientific question. That is a real risk for tools meant to be public. There is also the matter of agenda setting. Private sponsors decide which problems get sprint funding. That can free up progress in neglected areas. It can also mean that some long-term foundational questions receive less attention. Faster short-term wins can outshine quiet work that builds the knowledge base we will need in 10 or 20 years. Finally, there is accountability. Fast teams can publish powerful tools before public review systems adapt. That can speed discovery and save lives. It can also expose the system to errors or ethical blind spots that only broader oversight would catch. Some experts call for hybrid models, where private speed pairs with public governance and sustained stewardship. Private money can build public science quickly. Who should decide which public goods get sprint funded and who holds responsibility for keeping them open? Parker Institute for Cancer Immunotherapy. Picture a network of hospitals and labs pooling samples and ideas under one roof. In 2016, Sean Parker put up $250 million to speed immunotherapy research by breaking down walls between centers. The model is collaboration at scale. Scientists share data. Clinical teams coordinate trials. Industry partners spin out advances. That structure helped spin dozens of trials and launch companies focused on personalized vaccines and cell therapies. The initiative supported hundreds of scientists across dozens of labs to move promising ideas faster into patients. The practical results are visible. New cell-based therapies that train immune cells to attack tumors went from early science into wider trials more quickly. A string of clinical advances this year shows that combination approaches and refined delivery can shrink tumors once called untreatable. Regulators also approved easier to give formulations of existing drugs, which frees clinic time and reaches more patients. The Institute also helped fund data-driven tools that predict who will respond. Deep learning models now analyze tumor and immune fingerprints to guide therapy choices. Those models speed trial design and reduce costly failures. That is a major win when time matters for patients. At the same time, there are trade-offs. Fast private funding concentrates decision-making. Which trials get priority and who gets early access can depend on partnerships and capacity rather than pure medical need. When treatments work, but are scarce, who decides allocation and who pays for priority access? That tension is practical and urgent. Should life-saving experiments be routed first to the best-connected centers or to patients who need them most? Trials are moving faster than before. What used to take years now skips steps because teams share data and run coordinated studies. That speed produced concrete wins this year. Regulators approved a subcutaneous version of a blockbuster therapy, making administration quicker for clinics and easier for patients. A Phase 2 trial reported tumor shrinkage in roughly 76.3% of participants when an immunotherapy was combined with chemotherapy. Researchers also rolled out a deep learning system that predicts who will respond to immune-based treatments and which combinations are worth testing. Those advances save time and lives. Faster trial design means fewer patients go through treatments that are doomed to fail. Easier formulations free up clinic capacity. Predictive models cut the cost of early failures and help match patients to the right experimental therapy sooner. That is the practical payoff when resources are concentrated and teams collaborate closely. Still, the system faces hard choices. Predictive tools can be biased if training data comes mostly from wealthy or well-represented populations. New therapies often arrive while supply is limited and price tags are high. When a treatment works but cannot reach everyone who needs it, the question becomes allocation, not science. Who sets priorities for scarce doses and high-cost trials? Who decides which hospitals get early access and which patients are invited first? There is also a governance gap. Rapid private funding can outpace public policy. Some say more transparent allocation rules and dedicated public support are needed, so breakthroughs do not become exclusive. Others warn that slowing the process could cost lives in the short term. The central issue is practical. If private coordinated experiments keep producing life-changing therapies, who decides who benefits first and how fairness is enforced? Arc Institute. In 2021, a group of tech billionaires decided traditional science funding was broken. Patrick Collison, the CEO of Stripe, teamed up with Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, and other donors to pledge more than $500 million. Their idea was radical. Build a place where scientists focus on science instead of chasing grants. The Arc Institute launched as a nonprofit biomedical research center with a simple promise. Researchers get long-term funding and freedom to follow wherever the science leads. No grant applications, no bureaucratic hoops, just time and resources to do ambitious work. That model attracted top talent fast. Scientists who spent years writing proposals and waiting for approval suddenly had room to breathe. They could take risks that traditional funders would never support. The Institute focuses on diseases that affect millions, but lack profitable drug markets. Conditions like neurodegeneration and immune disorders, where breakthroughs could help enormous numbers of people, but where pharmaceutical companies see limited returns. That choice matters. It means private money is flowing toward problems the market ignores. The speed is impressive. Projects that would take years to fund through normal channels start immediately. Teams form around ideas instead of around available grants. Critics raise familiar concerns. Who decides which diseases matter? When billionaires set the research agenda, the public has no vote. There is also the talent question. Every brilliant scientist who joins ARC is one fewer building capacity at public universities. That drain could weaken the broader research ecosystem over time. Still, the results speak loudly. Early work has already produced insights into cellular mechanisms that could reshape how we understand disease. The question is whether this model can scale without leaving gaps. Should science move at the speed of private wealth or at the pace of public deliberation? The answer shapes what cures arrive and who gets them first. Altos Labs. In 2022, a startup launched with $3 billion and a goal that sounds like science fiction: reverse human aging. The backers include Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, and Yuri Milner, the tech investor who also funds Breakthrough Listen. Together, they assembled a team of the world's leading scientists in cellular biology and gave them one mission: figure out how to make old cells young again. The science is called cellular reprogramming. Researchers discovered that by adding certain proteins to a cell, you can rewind its developmental clock. The cell forgets it is old and starts behaving like a young cell again. That discovery won a Nobel Prize. Now Altos wants to turn it into medicine. The company set up labs in California, Cambridge, and Japan. It hired scientists away from top universities with salaries that can reach 10 times what they earned before. That talent drain worries some academics, but it also concentrated expertise in ways that could accelerate breakthroughs. Early results in mice are promising. Animals treated with reprogramming factors showed signs of rejuvenation. Damaged tissues healed, markers of aging reversed. The challenge is making it work safely in humans. Reprogramming gone wrong can cause tumors. Cells that revert too far can become cancerous. The scientists at Altos are searching for the sweet spot where cells rejuvenate without losing control. If they succeed, the implications are staggering. Diseases of aging like heart failure, dementia, and frailty could become treatable. Healthy lifespan could extend by decades. The ethical questions are equally vast. If life extension becomes possible, who gets access? Will it be a luxury for billionaires or a right for everyone? Private funding made this moonshot possible. It also means private interests will shape how the technology develops and who benefits first. The oldest dream of humanity is within reach. The question is, who gets to decide what happens when we find it? Calico Labs. In 2013, Google co-founder Larry Page announced a new company with a mission that sounded almost absurd: solve death. Calico, short for California Life Company, set out to understand why we age and find ways to slow it down. The company has access to $1.5 billion through a partnership with pharmaceutical giant AbbVie. That kind of money buys patience. Calico operates more like a research university than a startup. Scientists work on long-term projects without pressure to show quick returns. The company studies creatures that age differently than humans. Naked mole rats live 30 years, while similar-sized mice live only 3. Understanding why could unlock secrets about human longevity. Calico also developed tools to measure biological age. These molecular clocks track how cells change over time. That matters because biological age can differ from calendar age. Some people age faster than others at the cellular level. The company keeps its work famously secret. Few publications emerge from its labs. That frustrates outside scientists who want to build on its findings. Critics say billions of dollars should produce more public knowledge. In 2025, Calico reported setbacks. A drug designed to slow neurodegeneration failed in clinical trials. That failure shows how hard this problem is. Aging is not one disease. It is many processes happening at once. Still, the effort continues. Researchers are testing drugs that target stress responses in cells. Others are studying how to protect neurons as they age. The goal remains ambitious, not just to treat diseases of aging, but to slow aging itself. If Calico succeeds, the benefits could be enormous. People might stay healthy longer and spend fewer years in decline. But the same questions arise. Who will afford these treatments? Who decides how they are distributed? When a tech giant funds the search for longer life, the answers are not obvious. The company that indexed the world's information now wants to index the biology of aging. Whether that knowledge becomes public good or private advantage remains to be seen. Neuralink. In 2016, Elon Musk founded a company to connect human brains directly to computers. The idea sounded like science fiction. Now it is science fact. In January 2024, Neuralink implanted its first device in a human brain. The recipient was a young man paralyzed from a spinal cord injury. Within minutes of activation, he could move a cursor on a screen just by thinking. The device is roughly the size of a coin. A surgical robot threads 64 ultra-thin wires into the brain's motor cortex. Those threads contain over 1,000 electrodes that detect electrical signals from neurons. The signals travel wirelessly to a computer that translates thought into action. By late 2025, Neuralink had implanted devices in more than 10 patients across the United States and Canada. Participants play video games, browse the internet, and design three-dimensional objects using only their minds. One patient described the experience as using the Force from Star Wars. The technology offers hope for people with paralysis and diseases like ALS. Patients who lost the ability to move or speak could regain ways to communicate and interact with the world. Neuralink is also developing a device called BlindSight that aims to restore vision to people whose eyes no longer work, but whose visual cortex remains intact. The path has not been smooth. Federal investigations examined the deaths of test animals during development. Critics raised concerns about rushing human trials before the technology was fully proven. Musk has grander ambitions beyond medical use. He talks about healthy people choosing implants to think faster or merge with artificial intelligence. Those ideas raise profound questions. Should we alter the human brain for enhancement rather than healing? Who gets access to technology that could create cognitive advantages? What happens to privacy when thoughts can be read by machines? For now, the focus remains on patients with severe disabilities. The results so far suggest brain-computer interfaces can genuinely improve lives. But the company is controlled by one of the world's richest men. The future of human cognition should not be shaped by a single billionaire's vision. The brain is the last frontier. These 10 experiments show us something important. The biggest questions of our time are no longer being answered by governments alone. A handful of billionaires are now steering the future of medicine, longevity, space, and even the human mind. Whether that leads to breakthroughs for all of humanity or advantages for the few depends on choices being made right now. The science is moving fast. The question is whether the rest of us can keep up.